Howdy, Laoshi Lawrence McElroy here. It's another in our pre-recorded video series. This is another in sort of a standalone, so just 1 week only. It's sort of been the sequence that we've been in. And today, I'm going to introduce a little yoga into the equation. What? Yoga? Are you kidding me? Why? Well, the more we do, the more we expand our experience through different things, the better off we are. I chose this shirt on purpose. This is I believe it's the '06 Century Bike Ride from New York City. Around that time, 05, 06, 07, I was doing a lot of bike rides in the city. Did a handful of the centuries, did a handful of the 5 boroughs, did the MS bike ride on an annual basis. Friend talked me into it, a friend at the time. And I was in pretty good shape, then, not great, but I was in decent shape. My legs were strong from all the tai chi at that point in my life. And those bike rides killed me. Different muscles. So the more we work on muscles that are used differently for different things, I also do physical training, including aerobic exercise. That helps my tai chi. My tai chi helps that. Yoga helps my tai chi helps my yoga. So again, the broader the experience we build, the more we know about ourselves, and especially our physical selves. Some of my, movement in body in space and body in movement in space have been sharpened with 10 years of yoga now. My feet in the relationship to the floor, there are some things that were unfolding with my feet that I hadn't recognized until I started doing yoga. So yoga can help us. Plus, it's really good. You're not jumping up and down. You're not doing plyometrics. You're not doing Zumba or anything like that, but you're building cardiovascular strength. You're helping with balance and coordination. And the stronger we can get with our balance and coordination and everything else, it's good for us. So I do recommend that you broaden your perspectives and do more than just the Tai Chi if you're doing Tai Chi, or if you're watching this because, it got tagged for yoga, then maybe experiment with some Tai Chi. So anyway, there you go. The yoga that we're going to be doing today is more or less Hatha based. So it's breath, body, and mind. So, breathing, getting the breath into the body into the breath. Oh, where have I heard that before? Positioning. So getting things in the right position, very important. We'll talk about that as we're doing that. And mind, not going to focus a lot on that today. If for no other reason, I'm going to be talking when I'm doing this, so I'm not going to be really into myself as much as I would normally be doing when I'm doing yoga. But and I also have to admit that I have come to yoga and I do yoga more for the physical aspect of yoga, for the stretch, for the body strength, and that sort of thing. So that's my approach coming into it. When I started to explore yoga, that's my approach today. So I don't get into the depth of the art that is yoga, and that's bad on me. That's my bad. I don't get into how they talk about prana or chi from their perspective, but it works for me. So there you go. And I think that's all I ever want to talk about. So here we go. I think I got my mat in the right position. You get a little drink. I think I have to move my yoga blocks. I thought I was going to do this facing the other direction, and I changed my mind. So these may be useful, may be necessary for you, right? Depending upon how deep you can go. So I'm going to set them here and see if we need them. Gonna start with mountain pose. So some people do mountain pose like this. I like the prayer hands version. I refer to this as prayer hands, not namaste. I'm gonna I'll turn and face you for part of it, right? Because if I had my feet together and I was waiting, like in opening for Tai Chi, my knees would be open, be setting down into the lower body, chin from parallel, just a slight tuck down, the crown point of the head, held to the heavens. So my spine is loose and hanging like a string of pearls. In mountain and through my Tai Chi, I'm lengthening, not just pushing the knees back. That is not lengthening. That's just pushing the knees back. I'm lengthening. Just like in Tai Chi, I'm rooted to the earth, but it's as if my head is filled with helium and it's lengthening, it's pulling everything up. So the spine is elongated and elongated with that diametric move in the two direction, not just a hold and a dangly weight, which is the string of pearls, but a two directional lengthening. Chin still from parallel for me anyway, just slight tuck down, right? Chest not sunken, right? Shoulders slightly back, but I'm not moving them back. I'm not making them obvious. It's just the result of where my spine is. Again, I'm going to turn this way. We'll hang out for a few breaths. So very different. I've mentioned before, I think in one of the stretching sets, that we had a student one time, went to a PT, and the PT wanted her to do a stretch, physical therapist, wanted her to do a stretch that involved, lengthening an arm and locking off a joint. She said, oh, no, you're never supposed to lock off your joint, because she'd heard that over and over and over again in the Tai Chi class. Yeah, I make a point of making everybody do yoga stretches now from time to time, so I can point out that in some things we do lengthen our arms. A couple more breaths. Centering self. Find an exhalation. Inhale, I'm going to drop the arms down. The arms are straight now, no joints, right? Coming up, reaching up and out of my shoulders and looking up between my hands. Now, right now, my hands, you can't really see them, right? But my fingers and thumbs are lightly pressed together. I could also starfish them. I could do this, right, with the hands, but right now they're here. And again, I'm not lifting my shoulders in this position. My shoulders are dropped. My arms are as straight as I can get them based on the rest of my physical position. And I'm going to come right back down. I'm going to breathe into the next aspects of our little sequence here. So inhale up. Exhale, swan dive down. I can do the fingertips pointing, or I can wash the windows. Back straight and come on down and hang. Now you might need, in all reality here, the neck should be loose, but I'm going to talk and sort of look at you a little bit, so my head's going to be sort of active, right? If I can get my fingers on the ground, great. My legs are still as straight as possible. My feet are still together, but you may need like a yoga block for you to have some support here. You can also just use a support hand version on the arms. From here, I'm going to inhale and straighten the back. The idea is to make the back a table here, perpendicular to one another. And again, I can let my arms hang here, or if I need the support hand version, then the crown point of my head is driving that way, so my spine is straight. I'm going to find an exhalation, go down. Set the hands. If I need to, I'm going to have to squat. I'm going to have to squat. Other people may not have to, right? So my palms are down. Now I can step back in two different ways. I can step back with one leg and then the other to get myself into plank. Right? Or they refer to it as floating back, but I'm not much of a floater. It's sort of a thud. Boom. Shoulders over wrists. Heels driving back. Pelvic tuck. So everything is straight. My heels driving back. Blank. I find an exhalation to go down. Kiss the floor. And roll up into upward dog. Shoulders are dropped and back. Pressing up out of the earth with the tops of my feet. Up out of my shoulders. I'm not down here. Boom. You can look up and upward dog. Exhale. Inhale. You can roll over the toes, or as you go back, just move into that toe down position.
and down dog. So as straight as line as possible, from hands to sits bones, from ankles to hips. It's like I'm trying to bring my shoulders, or working to bring my shoulders to my hips. And I like holding down dog for a while. But again, look at that A shape, right? No bent elbows. I'm not bringing my feet closer, so I can get my heels closer to the ground. They're right where they're at. I'm going to lift the right leg up. Now, I like doing a plantar flex as best I can in this position while driving the opposite heel down. So I'm working on that split physicality, that one part of the body can be doing one thing and another part another thing. And I'm going to swing that foot through. Now you may not get that foot into that perpendicular position, so it might land here and shift it into place. I'm going to come up into runner's pose, still driving that heel back and down, right? I'm seeking not to allow that to happen. Fingertips on the floor. My first runner's stretch, I had yoga blocks here, and I was supporting my weight on my yoga blocks 10 years ago in this position. So I've gotten better. Going to find an exhalation and inhale up into crescent pose. Now notice, one, I'm sort of tilting, I'm sort of losing my balance here because I'm turning my head to talk to you, but I also lost my straight leg. So I'm going to work on that a little bit. Hips and shoulders square. From here, I'm going to drop my back heel down. Now, these toes are still forward. Those toes are still now at about a 45, and the foot is flat. The outside of the instep is touching and grounded to the earth. That was what I was finding when I first started doing yoga that was off with my tai chi. That when I was in force stance, I'd roll to the inside of the instep. Not dramatically or anything, but I wasn't grounded the way I should be. So my right hip in this position is working to turn back. My left hip is opening up. This is a very difficult position for me. I have 3 vertebrae fused together in my lower back, so I may have to come up a little bit. And ideally, my arms are straight and up. You may find this happening. If so, drop them like this and bring them back up. Now moving into run. Warrior 2, there we go. Still straight leg. Foot is now perpendicular. Heel to instep. Shoulders should be over the hips. Tendency is to do that, even with me sometimes. And I'm lengthening, driving the fingertips to that wall, driving the fingertips to that wall, and turning my chin into my shoulder. So awareness of the knee and the position of the knee to the toes, awareness of the back foot, shoulders and hips, and bending back into, I always want to call this Warrior 3. That's something completely different. This is Reverse Warrior. Again, some people do this on purpose, otherwise by accident, because we want that straight arm. If you notice your arm's bent, bring it up here and bring it back. A couple of breaths here. Again, keeping this arm in the plane of the torso. One more breath. Inhale, back into Warrior 2. Inhale into Warrior 1. Exhale, inhale into crescent pose. And back down. If you need to shake that out, or do this for a second. Perfectly all right. Go down again. You don't have to go as low, right? I can do that and go half and come up, or go all the way down and kiss the floor. Again, here if I need it, I can have the knees down. That's Cobra, and this is up dog. Up out of the shoulders. And I can roll, or I can simply step. That was sort of a combination of the two. And the other side. A little bit more flow on this side. So a couple of breaths here. Find an inhalation, driving that heel down, lengthening the leg. I want to be aware that I'm not doing this without having to look to see. Exhale it into position. Move it forward if you need to. Here's your runner's pose. Inhale. Crescent pose. Heel driving down. Hips and shoulders perpendicular to the direction I'm facing. Oops, drop that heel. Open up the hip. Right hip now is back. Left hip are open. The left hip is turning back, so my torso can be square. Warrior two. Settling down into it a little bit. Warrior three. Bending back, straight arm, chin turned into the biceps, looking at the elbow fold. Inhale back to warrior two. Back to warrior one. Crescent pose. And coming down. Back into plank. One more sequence. Down. Up. Down dog. Breathing. Right? Making sure this isn't happening. Straight, lengthening. Putting the weight on the thumbs and the index finger side of the hand. Allow for the straight arms. Find an inhalation. Exhale. Step or jump up. Bring the feet together. We're going to end something a little bit different. On the inhale, I'm going to set the butt down with the arms up a little. Chair. All right. We'll explain why after I finish chair. So straight line. Hips, shoulders, fingertips. Weight in the heels. Weight's back. I can see my toes. Find an exhalation. Down. Inhalation. Head up first. Strong legs. Arms long and extended. Exhale. Broad and down. Coming back into prayer hands. And hanging out for a few breaths. So, I'm breathing. Some people don't want to add yoga to their training. It's like, oh, I'm just going to do horse squats. I'm going to grab some weights and do some regular squats. You can do some weighted lunges. I want to do some pull-ups. I want to do some physical. I want to do like 50 push-ups. Yeah. Still breathing hard. Actually got a little sweat going. Right? Just from the simple sequence of just a few of the moving asanas. So you can imagine what a full 30 minutes with lots of variation on the asanas would be with, maybe going to an hour. There's a yoga set that I do on a relatively regular basis that's 90 minutes. It's killer, right? So I hope that made some sense. I hope you could follow. You might actually want to, and I probably should have said this at the outset, watch the video once or twice and then follow along. So we talked a little bit about like the feet and, the hands and really feeling, things are in the spaces that they're supposed to be. That's the primary assistance that I get out of my yoga. Plus the cardiovascular training, I ain't jumping up and down, but anytime you're lunging and squatting and holding those positions, the heart and the lungs have to work harder. So you're strengthening your heart, you're strengthening your ability to breathe, which is so, so important in everything that we do. But especially our Tai Chi and Qigong. So why not add some yoga to what it is that you do? I mentioned I was going to talk about chair after I finish the set. So I often refer to chair when we're doing something like we have a knee massage where we sit down into our lower body so we can reach our knees. And if you collapse your back, if you're doing this while you're massaging your knees, you're putting a lot of undue pressure on your back. But if you sit down, like I would be if I was doing chair, the back is straight, it helps. I also use it as a reference when we do different exercises from the 9 temple exercises. Like grinding the grain, we sit down into the lower body, fold like a hinge into the hip so the back stays a launching ramp as you're doing grinding the grain as a warm-up exercise. Or treating it as a Qigong set. That was a really bad example of grinding the grain, but your back needs to be straight. And I mentioned chair, and sometimes people won't ask, but they're like, I don't know what the hell he means when he says chair. That's what I mean, the thing that I did at the end of the set. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you understood what I was talking about as to how yoga can help your Tai Chi, and for that matter, your Tai Chi can help with yoga. I am, again, more physically self-aware because of the time that I've spent with yoga. I am pretty flexible. Before I started yoga 10 years ago, I am more flexible now than I was a decade ago. And yes, some of it is the accumulative impact of Tai Chi, but not all of it, my friends, not all of it. So thanks for joining me. If you have any comments, observations, questions about the content of the video, feel free to use the comment section below. The YouTube sequence, this weekly series is going to continue for as long as it's necessary. We launched our YouTube channel because we were doing Facebook Live sessions for public class students whose programs have been suspended, but not everybody in those programs are on Facebook. So we launched the YouTube channel so we could reach them. So that's, primarily the reason we're doing this. Now we have, up until this point, always sought to keep what we're doing on Facebook Live separate from what we're doing on YouTube channel, but it struck us that we're doing the YouTube channel because those folks can't see what we do on Facebook. So you will probably, if you are on Facebook, start to see some things that you've already seen or participated in on Facebook in these YouTube sessions moving ahead. But I'm not sure if that's going to start next week. Next week might still be something brand new. Can't say for sure. Also, I just want to mention, Water Tiger School is in Suffolk County on Long Island in New York State. And New York State moving forward, New York State Forward, I think is the official name. New York State Forward is moving forward. Long Island is now in phase 2 of a 4-phase reopening. Martial arts studios are in 4. Now, we just moved into 2 yesterday. So there'll be some time. If the schedule holds, then we might reopen the studio
in the first full week of July after the July 4th holiday. So we're aiming for July 9th, but that's if everything comes into place. But that's where our planning is going. That does not have anything to do with the public class programs, with the library programs and that sort of thing. This is just Water Tiger's studio program. So there you go. There's some news. In the meantime, please, 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 for yourself and especially for others, wear a mask when you're around other people. Just keep washing your hands. Those 20 seconds can save your life and save somebody else's life. And keep listening to the medical professionals and the scientists as to the necessary steps to get us to the other side of this tunnel, because though there's a light there, not quite sure how far away it is. And we may find, as I think I mentioned last week, we may have to come back a little bit. We may have to pause for a little bit before we move closer to and into the light. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care, be safe, and talk to you next time.